The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Alrighty, Lionel with you when this is The Other Side of Midnight. Our number is 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. This is Ventilation Friday. And I think that's critical for you to know because I don't know if I can say what I would like to discuss because it's not appropriate. So, consequently, I'm not really sure. Here's why. I have deliberately and have repeatedly, in this particular context, stayed away from one of the most difficult topics of them all to discuss, and that is things that are political. You see, one of the things I don't want to discuss is when one side says, yes, this makes sense, the other one says, no, it doesn't. I like this guy. I don't like this guy. I like what they did. I don't like what they did. It's boring. It's boring. It's one of those things where I don't ever want to do that, where we argue the worth of somebody or something, one particular. But in general, what I'd like to do is, and no matter how I try to explain this, it's a little bit sort of a waste of time, but I'll try nonetheless. What I find interesting more than anything is how to read the collective feel of the public regarding a certain thing. How do you feel the feel of the public? Not your group, not the particular iteration of the group that tends to follow you or the platform you're in, but the feeling in general. How does that work? And one of the things I want to say is I always ask myself this question in terms of politics, and it's not really politics. It's behavior. Because one of the things which is the most interesting is behavior. The behavior, not the issue. Let me give you an example. Can you really tell me what this Artemis space ship thing is? I mean, what's really being done? Can you really tell me? Do you have a feel for it? Somebody asked me, they said, what exactly is it? Did they land? No, they're going to land. Other side, yeah, okay, we went, okay, what are they doing? I don't know. They're going to the moon. Are you going to the moon? Well, are you going to walk on the moon? We're not going to walk on the moon. So what are you doing? What's the point of this? What are we doing here? And I said, well, that's pretty obvious. And then I was asking just friends of mine, people who were fairly sentient. I said, what are we doing regarding the moon? And they, I'm not really sure. I thought, this is great. This is great. Okay. So it's the reaction. If you had to dip put a number on this in terms of the collective public reaction to this Artemis 2 or whatever, what do you think it would be? How important is this? How riveted, how newsworthy? Figure out, we have to come up with a rating. And it doesn't mean good or bad. It just means your reaction. Okay, that's number one. Put that aside. Second case, and again, this is not politics. This is psychology. One of the things I always love to do is to determine or look at the view of stagecraft. How are things presented? What is the purpose? What is the goal? What is the result? I always look at advertising like that. I look at promotions. I ask a very simple question. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And what is it that you want? Okay. Today, for example, again, this is not necessarily, it's not the political aspect of it. It's just the collective psychological. Why did the First Lady appear regarding Epstein? What was the purpose of that? What was earned? What was clarified? What was the reason for that? What was the net result? What's the score? Meaning, what is the reaction regarding them? What is the reaction? Do people know? Can you understand it? If not, don't do it. You should never do anything unless it is absolutely positively clear as to why you're doing something. What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? How does that work? Again, it's the reaction. I don't know. People are saying, I happen to watch, and I love to see both sides of the particular story. And I happen to tune into something, I forget what it was, but something that you might call leftist or whatever the words. I hate these terms. They were really unable to explain what that was about either. What are we doing? Why are we bringing that up? Who's accusing her of anything? Why are you clarifying something that's really not? What's going on? Did the president know? What are we doing? People scratching their heads. Everybody's scratching their heads. And I thought to myself, why? What is the purpose for what is that about? Explain that one to me. I don't understand it. What's the take? Okay. Next one. Again, it's the reaction. It's not the subject matter. It's the reaction. Here's the one that absolutely fascinates me. There are now 9 scientists, 9, count them, 9, associated with a part of the, missing in terms of people in space, military, NASA, whatever. 9 critical, singularly important scientists and the like. 9 missing, shot, murdered, or died. 9 from one particular group of people. And the reaction has been, why is that? We talked this week about one of the fascinating cases, again, about human behavior, and that is the Huerman case. This is a fellow who was the serial killer on Long Island, who pled guilty to 3 cases of murder. He will never get out of prison. And they took together and they connected every conceivable form of connective tissue there is. Everything from the particular pizza that he was eating, the DNA on that, the women he talked to, his burner phones, the where they were abducted from, what part of the island it was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they connected this one with that one, and they were lauded and heralded for their activity. Yet, 9 famous scientists, 9, and guess what? Nothing. Nobody's mentioned it. Nobody's mentioned a word. Why? Why do you think that is? Again, what is it? Why does it not breach the information blood-brain barrier? And here is the best one. Here is the best one. Talk to any friend of yours and ask, what is, and again, I'm not arguing the particulars of this. I'm talking about the bigger picture. Ask them, what is happening right now involving the Middle East? Tell me in a sentence or two. Watch people's faces. They have no idea. I mean, they can explain a little bit. Some can, but most can't. So here's my question. What is the phenomenon called where people live and don't understand anything? Anything in the news, anything that's going on, anything that affects their lives, anything. How do you explain that? That's what I want to know. That may be a little bit iffy, heady, but I love it. How do people know or not know? How do we live in a world that has absolutely the most incredible sense of information? Everything you can imagine, everything. Oh my God. How? How is it that we, with all of this, know nothing? How do we in a country, in a world where we're always writing something, ostensibly writing something? We're writing something, we're writing notes, we're writing text, and none of us can write. That's what I want to know. Now, this is, of course, Ventilation Friday. You do not have to in any way get stuck with that particular subject matter. Because granted, it's not one that grabs you. It fascinates me to no end because I'm interested in the epistemology of things. I'm interested in how we know what we know and how information is disseminated. I'm interested in advertising. when something makes you, when was the last time you bought something because you saw something, you said, I've got to get that. I've got to buy this thing. How do we convey information, commercial, news, thoughts, political ideology? How do we get it across to people who really do not understand? This is important. For people who do not understand what's going on. Our number is 800-848-9222. This is Ventilation Friday. That means it's the best time to perhaps inculcate, to attract, to bring new folks in who say, you know what, I want to discuss something which I think might be pertinent for the particular tenor and theory of the show. It may not necessarily be something that you're talking about, but I want to talk, which, by the way, most people do anyway. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example as to how random this is, but in appreciation for the human connection of the call. Let's go to a man named Dave in Pittsburgh. And listen to this. This call, this subject matter, can only be described as riveting. Riveting, horripilating. You will be rubescent after you hear this. Dave, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Yes, Mr. Lionel. I've had a dream about this call, a dream. Even from 1968 or something, I had a dream of.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Sometimes I can dig it, and sometimes I can't. Sometimes I like your style. Sometimes I do. Tonight's not one of those nights. What I want to do is I want to ask you, please, I don't want to limit what you're saying. It sounds like I am, but I don't want to. But I want you to try your best to see, is it possible to perhaps recategorize, redistribute, replace your call into something that is called, lucid?
I might have chicken parmesan supreme tonight if I prepare and bake in the oven myself.
Now, a lot of people might say, who is this nutcase? And I'd say, excuse me, that's Mr. Nutcase to you. How dare you do this? Now, this is what happens, and this man needs this man, he's probably emblematic of more that is right with this country than anything else.
Day here in Pittsburgh.
And still goes on about Pittsburgh. That's incredible. Dave, what is the secret to your alacrity?
Well, I have a Penn State education. Now, I know you're Ivy League. Now, here's
Not at all,
what
sir.
I wanted
Not
to
at
get
all.
to.
Not at
Here's
all.
what I wanted to get to.
What do you want to get to, sir?
The West Coast colleges, especially Oregon State, they have many campuses which are studying LG as biofuel for cars and vehicles and SUVs.
And LG would be what exactly? Liquid gas or what is it?
LG, not LG. LD.
You said LG.
Is the lethal dose. Algae, A-L-G-A-E.
Oh, algae. From
the ocean.
I thought to the shoreline, for the oceans. Why would
We're not even going to the Great Lakes.
All righty.
With the plastic pollution in the Great Lakes, which is coming from Detroit, where the car factories still are.
And there you go, my friend. You see, that's what happens. Let me tell you something. This is called, in the biz, logorrhea or logolalia. And one of the things, whenever you're doing a kind of a psych write-up, you always want to look at the affect. You want to write down, what are they saying? When the information is disjointed, kind of like Kamala Harris, when it's disjointed, when it is kind of, I don't know what the word is, when it doesn't, where one word doesn't fit to the next one, it's called verbal, this is true, verbal incontinence. And the terms are logorrhea, like diarrhea, but logorrhea, word diarrhea, so to speak, and logolalia. Both of them are indicative of a lack of an organizational function. And this is, of course, one of the major criteria and presenting factors of somebody who has completely lost their mind. 800-848-9222. It is Ventilation Friday, and this is the other side of midnight with Lionel.
The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Ventilation let the anger flow. Grumble, rant, and let it show. Slam the desk, the demons cheer. Your weekly purge of pain is here. Ventilation Lloyd. Ventilation Friday. Scream into the void.
There's something so wrong with that, but I'm so amused at the same time. That, of course, is AI. AI, which is, of course, brought to you by our own Matt Blaze. By the by, did you hear something which is very, very sad? Do you know that Linda McMahon, the education czar or commissioner or secretary, referred to AI as A1? Did you hear this? Repeatedly? And people were their jaws dropped. And she was giving a state of the... it's like years ago, I told you yesterday that Lawrence Welk referred to World War I as World War I at one particular point. But anyway, this is AI. And this is something which I laud, I'm fascinated by, but it scares me so. Ernesto in Springfield, the voice of reason. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, guys.
Now that's an inside. That's an inside joke that you obviously follow my other iterations. That, of course, was the voice of Erica Kirk. 6 days after her husband was assassinated, and she appeared on a Zoom call to her members to studying merch sales, and she was as giddy and as happy and as just, full of life. And she started off with this, "Hey guys," and people were saying, "Who is this?" This is the grieving widow. In any event, I digress. Ernesto, talk to me, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I was listening to Alex Jones today, and he said something that I wasn't aware of because I didn't hear it in any of the regular media, that the way they found this missing soldier that was up in the mountains in Iran was with a technology called the ghost murmur technology.
Yes.
And I was wondering, with these missing scientists, and even with the Nancy Guthrie case, why haven't they employed this technology? What seems to me bizarre and even like reverse technology, alien technology, for lack of a better word.
Well, it's interesting. Your idea, explain to this is brand new. What do you understand ghost murmur as?
Well, from what I heard on the Alex Jones show, this technology tracked like the heart rhythm of the soldier so that they could pinpoint where he was on the mountain.
And
which I find actually fascinating.
And what it is you got to ask yourself the question: how, when they told us this, how are we supposed to? How does it remain silent? The ghost murmur, from what I'm able to see, is a secret. Well, not anymore, because let's face it, Ernesto, if you know it. Anyway, is a secret experimental CIA technology that reportedly used long-range quantum magnetometry to locate a downed U.S. airman in Iran in April. Now, it detects the unique electromagnetic signal of a human heartbeat from miles away, using AI to filter noise in low-clutter environments. And it's fabulous. It was developed by Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works. Ghost Murmur uses quantum sensors to find this. And your point is well taken. Why would this not be done to find children, missing children, elderly who walk away, and, of course, Nancy Guthrie? It's a great question.
Now, another question that I have is, I imagine the soldier that was on the mountain, there's not many humans on that mountain.
Correct.
So I don't know if that's true. But let's say like in an urban setting,
Right.
now you're getting into the intricacies of there's a lot of humans, so there's really not a way to pinpoint an individual.
How would you filter that one? How would you look for one if you were in a city or something? How would that work? And by the by, I know you probably know this as well. Mr. Jones and Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson were on a certain list that rhymes with hit from the president, who called them low IQ losers.
Wow.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did not. Oh, well, let me tell you something. There's one thing I love about this president. He tells you exactly what he is saying. He does not care about things like, oh, you don't think this is a presidential? Okay, fair enough. Oh, you don't think I should be saying this? Oh, okay, fair enough. And let me see if I can read this one thing to you, which is the most. This was in his Truth Social piece. If I could, it reads, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it, and everyone else knows it.
Wow.
No. Oh, knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're, capital letters, nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some, quote, free and cheap publicity. Now they think they've got some clicks because they have some third-rate podcast, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. Anyway, so he went out, and from this, and by the way, I'm really reporting it. I'm not agreeing with it one way or the other. But they're saying that somehow this is the end of the demise of the collapse of MAGA, and that there is a schism or a fissure in the world of a right wing of politics. What saith you, sir?
Wow, I'm shocked. I didn't hear that statement from him, because these are the people that in the beginning were his main supporters.
Well,
and he turned on them.
Well, yeah, but what happens is there's something about his particular style. Do you remember that there was a guy one time, his name was Harry Truman. See, a lot of people say, this is the most ridiculous, this is horrible. And they said, you can't do this. You can't do this. A president can't do this. Well, did you know that in 1950, President Harry S. Truman, by the way, who has no middle name, if ever you see S, there is no period next to it. He added the name S out of a balance. Harry Truman didn't work. Harry S. Truman sounded better, so he just added the letter S. His middle name is S, so there's no period. Period means it's short for something. Anyway, there was a man who wrote, he was a Washington Post music critic, Paul Hume, and he blasted his daughter Margaret's singing career. And he went, this is the president. So if I recall correctly, President Truman, I think on a letter on White House stationery, said, if I see you, when I see you again, you're going to need a beefsteak for your eye and a supporter. Meaning I'm going to kick you in the lugats and I'm going to punch you in the face. Now, and they loved it. So what I say when I respond to what President Trump says, what's the difference? Why must there be some level of deportment? Ernesto, don't you understand the goal of speaking is communication? When President Trump speaks, have you ever not wondered what he meant? You ever scratch your head and say, what the hell does he mean? Is he angry? Is he never?
No, he's right to the point. There's not that political double talk. You're understanding exactly where he's coming from.
There's something about that particular thing. But I find this interesting. So today in the news, they, of course, jumped and leapt on this. See, what I do is I like to triangulate. I like to go and I ask one question, and I ask people this, and nobody seems to answer me. Where is Matt Drudge? Is Matt Drudge alive? Can we do a ghost murmur on Matt Drudge? I'm not kidding.
This guy is he's like some underground bunker somewhere, completely gone.
I just wonder where, just nothing. But they have these stories because here's what I want to do. I want to hear what the other side says, and then I'll go to Fox. I go back and forth. Maybe I'll see if I want to get an idea. Let me give you an idea. Let me give you a taste. If I want to find out what's going on in, let's say, Iran or with the president, I will go to Drudge. I will go to Fox. I'll go to Breitbart, and I look mostly for. I'll go to RT, CCTV, France. I'll go to a Reason. I'll go to National Review, which is that's that paleo conservative take. And then later on, I'll try to put them all together to kind of get an idea of what's happening. And I find it interesting because everything that they say is a complete and total end of discussing. For example, in the story I just told you about these influencers, headline, Drudge, quote, Trump goes scorched earth on Megyn Tucker MAGA critics in jaw-dropping post. Now, first of all, that's not jaw-dropping. That's nothing. That is vintage Trump. But that's to lure people in. Calls them nut jobs. Influencers are salivating over jailing each other. These miserable people all fight among themselves. Now, moving on. Another story which I found, because you find some good stuff. AI has already replaced work for 20% of full-time employees.
Wow.
20%. This is what you will learn. And they will cite the particular piece. This is one of the most fantastic things ever. Here we go. Listen to this one. Detox may erase 10 years of social media brain damage, according to researchers.
Oh my God.
Detox. This is one of those things which I find absolutely fascinating. Here's another story. And I don't know why I find this interesting. In fact, you'll be hearing it at the top of the hour here. There is a man who decided to allow himself to be bitten over 200 times by every poisonous snake you can imagine. And he has developed a resistance. And his blood is used for anti-venom. There are 3.5 million snake bites a year with about 100,000 deaths all over the place. If you're bitten by one of these, as they say in West Tampa, que se la mama, forget it. You're done. There is nothing. Go to your local doctor. We don't have this. Do you have any rattlesnake vent? No, we don't have anything for that. And what's interesting is it's fascinating. So how do you, now again, these are all random thoughts, but it made me think, how do you find yourself doing that? What have I said? Ernesto, yes, you have the chance to save people. Yes. Ernesto, would you like to leave your mark? Yes. Ernesto, would you assist us? I certainly will. You'll be helping men, women, children, elderly. Yes. What can I do? We want to have you bitten over 200 times by the taipan, black mamba, rattlesnakes. And if you don't die, and it's going to be tough, And if you don't lose limbs, we're going to use your blood and maybe I'm in. I'll take it. That fascinates me.
It's fascinating.
You see, that's
Absolutely
what it is.
Fascinating.
My friend, you have a great and a glorious day, and I thank you for that. Isn't that something? Doesn't that make you I find that's... Now, here's one story, too. This might be of a kind of a little bit of story. Oh, here we go. His name, by the way, is Tim Friede, Friede. And this man, Tim Friede, for nearly 20 years, he's 58, allowed some of the most lethal snakes in the world to bite him so he could build up an immunity that could one day be used as a universal anti-venom. I think the word is anti-venom. Now, let me ask this question. Ready for this? This is I'm going to ask you to go deep inside. And think about this. Yuri, this might be even something that you can understand. Because you are demented, and I point to you. Why do you think there is such an overreaction to snakes? No other animal. People go, it's a rat. Sometimes a rat because but snakes, horses will go crazy. Show a little snake, they go crazy. A little snake, the horse can say, watch this. There we go. Why do you think that is?
I'd say it's connected to something biblical. It's ingrained in us.
What do you think, dirty boy? What do you think, Blaze?
Because they slither.
And they don't.
Have the tongue comes out.
They don't.
They make that sound. Yeah, but that's what people think.
First of all, they don't make any noise.
They don't, but they think they go.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
When I was a kid, I don't know which cart, with the Sesame Street or the Electric Company, and it had Sammy the Snake. And it goes, and the little tongue comes out.
Now, right.
And it
that is disgusting watching you do that, by the way.
And it slithers
right.
around.
Right.
And the way it, and they know, the way it kills its food, it wraps around and it.
Well, that's
and
a constrictor.
It. Right, but that's
right.
This is what people think. Not all snakes do that,
right.
but that's the view that people have.
And but there's something else. By the way, did you know there is a form of sidewinder? I'm trying to think. There was a great, I can't remember his name. It was a great paleontologist. I'll think of it. There is a sidewinder. There's one particular snake. Have you ever seen that Japanese way of dancing? It looks like you're floating. Have you seen this on? Okay. You watch it, and they show you how they do it. Put your foot down, lift your leg up, and then you jump, and it looks like they're floating. And you're trying to find where is the foot hitting the ground. This guy's floating. It's an illusion, not a hallucination. There is a snake that when he's in the desert, you watch, and it doesn't even touch the sand. It's like, how does this thing work? Nobody can figure this out. Okay, but think about what you did. Number one, the tongue is very important. That's to determine, heat and smell. You can't see very well. It has those eyes. Have you noticed it? It has those slit eyes. You ever think about that? Now, that's kind of like a snake. You know what else has those eyes? A cat. How does a cat have that? That's a mammal. Dogs don't have that. Why does a cat have that? But I'm going to throw these questions out because this is the other side of midnight. But they're not slithery, number one. The constrictors are kind of interesting. It's kind of tough. They only will go after fresh prey. If you give them something, if you throw a piece of chicken at them, they say, I don't want it. They'll die. If you give them a dead mouse or something, they don't want it because there's something wrong with it. If they give them a live one, it may seem, cruel, but they're saying, I'm not eating this. And then that's the way I do it. And they eat and everything's fine. And they balance, but we don't like them. A sneaky snake, like on a Mad TV, Michael McDonald's great sneaky snake. You're a snake. They make that sound. By the way, that S sound. What if a snake had a lisp? That'd be interesting. You could hear it from a mile away. Okay. People were also missing, and to show you how you people are missing the point, they thought it was the phallic reference. That's what people said for the longest time. It's a phallic reference. So I responded with, well, why does that frighten people? Well, what do you mean? I say, well, why does that frighten people? Why is a phallic reference frightening? He said, well, I guess it depends who you are, maybe, but I don't know. Are women frightened by this? I don't know. So they said, I never thought about this. So people just said that. But here's why people think the reason why you are afraid of them. When we were on all fours, we could have a good view of, oh, there's a snake. There's a sneaky snake. There we are. Why? Because I'm on all fours. I'm on the ground. I can see them. As we stood upright and became farther from them, not further, farther's a distance. And we were not able necessarily to be as aware of these slithering, poisonous reptiles. It made us a little bit more vulnerable. So every now and then, a version of us would be born with a hypersensitive fear of snakes. They did better. Their trait passed on through natural selection and through evolution, that was preferred. Because if those people who were those animals that said, is that a snake? They did much better than walking through, kicking the grass and not paying attention. But they are the most beautiful. They are the most beautiful. They are so... I watch them and they just don't bother anybody. They're wonderful. They're terrific. And you should see in Florida, they're all over the place. I told you about the coral snake and the king snake, and how they reverse colors. The king snake and the coral snake, it's red, yellow, black. I don't know which one's which. And I told you we went to the Hillsborough County, the river or whatever it's called. They have these park rangers. And he told us as kids, now make sure, kids, that you know the difference between a coral snake and a king snake. The coral snake is, I don't know what it was, red to the black, you are, something to red, you are dead. And he had a little poem. Remember that, kids. Remember that. Know the poem before you handle it. And I raised my hand like wasn't trying to be a smartass. I said, why are you picking up any snake at all? Just don't touch it. He goes, well, that's a good idea. But we love it. Moccasins. I love pit vipers. I love the cobra, by the way. Not that big. Big head, the big hood, slow, gangly, not very good at because its head is.
You see that what is it, like some kind of ritual when they kiss the cobra?
Yes.
I watched these videos once.
Yes.
And they're on, I think it was either YouTube Shorts or TikTok, where it was the camera was looking down into this room filled with like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of snakes. And this guy, he looks like from India or something, is in the room. And he's just sifting through the snakes with his hand.
Right.
And I guess they do like a snake show.
Right.
So he's trying to find the right snakes. And just like it's nothing, like you're sifting through paper. He's literally just moving them out of the way, not thinking he's going to get bit. And the snakes don't even care. And he's like, he just picks it up, he looks at it, he goes, nah, puts it back, goes through, okay, puts that over to the side, goes and again, gets another one. I'm like, and you look at it and go, this guy's crazy.
But the best one is he's trying to find the venomous one. No, that's not the venomous one. No, that's the venomous one.
Right.
You know, and there was we always learned in law school, in constitutional law, there's about certain free exercise stuff. And there were famous cases where the Supreme Court said, you can't do that, you can't do this, can't do this. And they talk about snake handling. No good. And I'm thinking, let them handle the snakes. This is not a problem. And there was one I remember one time of somebody who actually was bitten, and it's not good. It's a very slow and agonizing death. There was a fellow on TV who has no personality. He's the snake bite doctor. And he was on whatever this was, History Channel or something. And you know it's not good when they come up and they have the pen and they draw this line, and if that redness is moving up, this isn't good. I had some cellulitis one time, and they put up, this one guy thought it was a bite, it wasn't. And he took the pen and he said, make sure this doesn't go above here. I'm thinking about moving the line. Well, anyway, but I love these things. And I want to sit down with them. I always wanted to defend them. and I could find one and say, listen, I've got the ability. I've got a microphone here, and I want you to talk. I know this sounds crazy, but I have this ability for you to talk to me, and I'm going to transport this using this AI, and the snake will talk to you. And I think it would say something like, look, I don't know where you got this idea from. We mean you no harm. The rattlesnake is the one that says, what do I have to do? Here's a rattle. The other ones don't even have that. Think how bad that one's got to be. The taipan, black mamba, they don't tell you that. They're not interested. They want you. The moccasin, but you might want to say also, why do I have the rattle? Why do I get that? How bad am I? Does this make any sense? Let's go to Jay in New Jersey. Jay, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel.
Hello,
Jay. Speaking of snakes, Erica Kirk, you mentioned her before, and I remember,
You're kidding me. You're killing me.
Talk about going after widows, and people talk about, you can't go after a grieving widow. It reminds me of Ann Coulter. You remember that, Lionel, 9/11?
What was that exactly?
Ann
yes,
Coulter,
yes. She referred to the widows. Right, there was a group of widows who they lost their husbands in the building, the towers or something. Yeah.
She referred to them as witches. Do you remember that line?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, and she made the exact same argument. She said that people can't be shielded from criticism because they're grieving, and I think that she was the first to actually put out such an outrageous remark that made people so angry, but at the same time, she was brave enough to do it.
May I say something? I think the idea is not that you are targeting these people because they're grieving. It's despite. In the case of Erica Kirk, her whole thing is she wants to perform and show up with her gold lame. Here I am. She loves the applause, the focus. The moment you say anything as to, do you think maybe this is the appropriate behavior for, then she says, back off, stop. That's the thing. Ann Coulter, by the way, I've noticed Ann's kind of on the back nine. You notice that? She doesn't seem to have, I don't know, I guess she's still around. Remember Michelle Malkin?
No, I don't know who that is.
Michelle Malkin, you never heard of? She was a person, by the way, who was a very not loud, but certainly a venomous, a very vituperative, a right-wing punk. By the way, the word Malkin means either an old cat, like a grimalkin, a slattern, or I believe a mop or something. The word Malkin, M-A-L-K-I-N. Anyway, she she sold her clothes and her shoes, and she got into pickleball. I don't know what that was about. And apparently she's tried to come back. They come and they go, these folks. The newest crop are another story. Coming up, the infamous, the one, the only, the inimitable, the Pope of Hell's Kitchen, John will be joining us. And John has something to get off his chest. And let me just tell you something right now. Lactating women and people with pacemakers are instructed to consult their physician before we take his call.
The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
There we have it, my friends. What is his name? Al or something? Al something?
Al Wilson.
Al Wilson. What a great song. Well, what a perfect segue for our next caller. You know him, you love him from Parts Unknown, Weight Unknown. Number 15 in your program, number 1 in your heart. The Keith Purcell of the acting world. Mr. John in Hell's Kitchen. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Good morning, Lionel.
Good day, sir.
How are you?
Solid.
Good. Solid as a rock.
Indeed. What's on your mind, my brother?
Well, it's Ventilation Friday.
Yes, it is, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, here's what's on my mind. You know, there's a lot of myself included, and a lot of other people I know in my industry, the acting world, that we have been blackballed because we support Donald Trump.
Still, do you think? Is it still going on?
Oh, listen. Now, you know, because we've had this discussion, I'm not on computers at all. So there's this website by Elon Musk that came out and wrote all this great stuff about this and that, what I've done, and at the end, a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. Then somebody called me today to say, John, have you looked at your Wikipedia lately? A vocal supporter of Donald Trump. So I mean, there was a time, Lionel, in our life that your vote, your sex, your religion, that was your business.
Yes, sir.
But there's a lot of people, not only me, a lot of people in a lot of different areas that have been canceled, that have been, like, I couldn't get arrested if I sat on David Oselnik's lap. I mean, it's outrageous, and I don't know what to do. I mean, listen, I know who I voted for. Half the country voted for him. They voted for him twice.
Well, look at James Woods, the actor, who went through the same thing.
Yeah, John Voight.
Yes.
Mel Gibson, but those guys have a much bigger platform than I do. Much bigger platform. And it's very frustrating because, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump. Whoop-de-doo.
But yet, John, if you possessed one of the strangest crypto-sexual whatever, you would be welcomed with open arms.
Oh, yeah, if I drank blood or wore red, you know. Right. Now, what got me going today was that I watched the president's wife have to come out today and defend herself.
Right.
And, I mean, she's got a big enough platform that she defended herself from the White House. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of us that, and, you know, in the beginning, it was the rave. It was, you know, the cancel, the this, the that. But destroying people's lives so they can't make a living is outrageous.
And also, John, we are deprived, and I'm very serious about this, of you and your talent and many, many great people out there whose politics, whose sexuality, whose food preferences, whose allergies have nothing to do with their ability to take the stage and wow an audience. I don't understand it.
And so many people come up to me and say, are you ever going to work again? Why are you not working? You're one of my favorites, blah, blah, blah. And I say to them, because I voted for Donald Trump.
I know.
I can't go to work. And I mean, it's outrageous. I mean, I know he's a little bit busy right now.
Just a tad, indeed.
Just a tad.
Well, what's interesting is it would be just as wrong as if somebody did that who was a fan of Kamala Harris or something. By the way, John, do me a favor. I want to talk about that. I'm going to put you on hold. We normally don't do this because I want to talk about something, because one of the things which has become absolutely axiomatic is the fact that Hollywood, Broadway, and others are notoriously either anti-right or pro-left. And can anybody please explain to me, in something as important as acting, why that would even matter in the year 2026? More coming up. Hour number 2. Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening to The Other Side of Midnight. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?